Fairway.
How you doing, Steve? This is Mike Brohard. Right
Mike.
now, yeah, what are your emotions heading into your first border war?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. Obviously, it's a great rival game, and certainly the team we're playing is a well-coached, well-disciplined outfit. I've got a lot of respect for Craig Bowl. I've gotten to know him, and I really, feel like I see things through a lot of similar eyes that he sees them through. He's a hell of a coach. They got a hell of a staff, and their program is really, I think, really a great program. Big physical team, and well coached. So it's going to be a heck of a challenging game and an exciting game. And I just think the rivalry, what college football is all about. Unfortunately, we all wish we could be playing it in front of a packed stadium.
Last week, only 45 guys played. Is that kind of a product of what you have gone through as a team preparing for the first game, or do you see that being a norm moving forward?
I don't know what normal is, not to be a funny guy.
Yeah.
We missed, we had our offensive line quarantined for 14 days. The beat goes on. Those are the guys we felt were the most ready to play in that game. And that's about where my mind drifts now. I'm going week by week, game by game. I didn't know what the exact numbers were of who played what, but, we're going to play who we think is most ready to play in any given game for the reasons that we think we have to play them.
Okay, our next question comes from Eddie Hurst.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Great.
I'm just curious, just since you've arrived in Fort Collins, what have you kind of learned about the importance of this specific rivalry, just to the team, like to returning players, and also the community in Fort Collins?
Well, I mean, obviously, the proximity of these two teams is so close. The rivalry has gone on so long, and the intensity of the rivalry, I mean, whether it's in the community, whether it's from donors and alumni, our players, I mean, you can feel the intensity of the game. I've been a part of rivalries, and I just love that emotion and that intensity. I think that the pandemic is, unfortunately, with the fans are a part of that. That's the thing that I think we'll miss, and that the pageantry, and the emotion of your fans and all that stuff, it just goes in it. But I've learned how intense this rivalry really is and how important it really is. So I've got a good feel for that.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Justin Michael.
Hey, Steve, you mentioned some of the rivalries that you participated in the past. What are some of the favorite rivalries that you've, been a part of throughout your career?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd say certainly, the Florida State and the Florida-Georgia game were huge rivalries. I mean, they were incredible rivalries. BC Notre Dame, BC Syracuse games were big rival games. I mean, I think for different reasons, those were all big rivalries. So Temple, Penn State, it was a big game. I've been a part of those, and I mean, Notre Dame, Michigan, back in the day when we traveled to the Big House when I was at Notre Dame, was incredible rivalry game. I mean, this made the pageantry of it all. It's just so cool, so special. And our boot game here is as intense and as impassioned as any one of those other games.
You've had 2 games now to watch Wyoming on film. I'm curious, what kind of stands out to you about them? And were you impressed by how Levi Williams was able to, step in and the offense didn't really skip a beat at all?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that they're well coached, both sides of the ball. I think they're really physical. I think they're tough. I mean, you can tell that their program is an established program, and they have an identity and they play to it. Very, very obvious to me when you watch the tape. I thought they made a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2, which is, I think sometimes pretty typical. So I hope that we show great improvement from our week 1 to our week 2.
Hey, Steve, this is Mike Brohard again. You just touched on it. That's the old coaching adage. You make your most improvement 1 to 2. What have you seen really from practice the last 3 days that's got you encouraged?
Well, I saw a lot in the game that I got encouraged. When we watched our game tape, we did a lot of really good things. I mean, the foundation, of some really terrific things were in place. I thought our defensive line played really well. I thought our offensive line played well. I thought our backs ran hard. I thought our quarterbacks both made a bunch of plays. I think that we had too many execution errors on both sides of the ball that, created some problems. I'm not a big guy to talk about if it wasn't for this play. But, on defense, on 5 occasions, we let up 3rd and longs, and that was the tail of that game. And it kept them on the field with almost 36 minutes of possession. But on offense, we only had the ball for 24 minutes, but in 24 minutes, we ran 77 plays and had almost 400 yards of offense. And really, we had 2 easy completions that would have put us up at 31 points. So there was a lot of good things that happened on that tape. And we can grow from that. The problem was we had too many errors, which led to the lack of execution, which put us where that was. So now I'm hoping going to week 2 that we can shore up some of those things. But what's really important to me right now is that we build the identity and the foundation of our program. And that is to be a physical team, a tough team, a team that can stop the run, a team that can run the ball, and a team that can be explosive and take care of the football. In special teams, we want to be able to win the field position battle. I thought our special teams did some really, really good things as well. So what I'm looking to see is improvement from week 1 to week 2. I thought we had a tremendous we came off the plane, landed at like 4 a.m. Kids went home, coaches went to work, put together the game plan, came in Saturday morning, and had our Tuesday. Sunday had our Wednesday, and today had our Thursday. And we had 3 good practices. Now, once again, we're in a weird week. There's no one in college football can practice tomorrow, which is, very, very different, obviously, because, we're in game weeks. But, hopefully we can rest a little bit. We had very, very physical days, but we have to, because we're still in the infancy of building our program. And that's more important. Build the program. We had a heavy inside drill on Saturday. I mean, I can't back off on that because we've got to, I want to develop the program right now. So that's my first thought.
You did mention that you thought your offensive line and running backs played well, but what's going to bring more consistency to that part of the game?
Well, we averaged over 4 yards a carry. Probably like to be at 5 yards a carry, but that's when you're at the elite level. Our quarterback ran for 90. He averaged 7 yards a carry. And I thought we played pretty well. I think what I'm referring to is like little things, like we got on the goal line and we let a run through come through. Like we move the ball at times extremely well, then we get on the 2 yard line and we get hit in the backfield because we let a simple run through come through on a double team. So those are the mistakes that we've got to get corrected. We missed 2 easy throws, but yet we had some beautiful balls. We had some beautiful completions and some beautiful balls that were incomplete, that were big, big, big plays. So we left some, we probably left, 100 yards of offense and 2 scores on the field. And that's with only 24 minutes of possession. So, and on defense, I already said it. I mean, it's not real complicated. You can play really well in defense, but if you give up 5 plays of third down and longer, sum up to 3rd and 17, you have a hard time winning a game. I mean, you can't do that. But we stopped the run really well. I mean, we did a great job against the run. And then in the second half, we put a tremendous amount of pressure on the quarterback and did a great job with that. But we had some coverage busts that led to some big, big issues. And we just got to get them fixed. I mean, that's the execution I'm talking about. And we just got to continue to grow and to get better.
I think our next question from Kelly Lyle.
Yeah, Steve, there's been obviously a lot of questioning about the whole quarterback situation that decided starting Todd, putting in Patrick late. How will you approach that quarterback position going into this week? Is it any different, or is it still going to be just see and figure out on game day?
Well, we weren't see and figure it out on game day last week, I can assure you. And I can assure you we're not going to see and figure it out on game day this week either. We've made our decision. We know what we're doing. I'm not going to share it. It's not in our best interest to do that. We made a decision a week ago for some sound reasons, and we got a lot of productivity. And we'll make a decision. We've made a decision this week. And so we have 2 talented guys. They're both talented, and very likely you could see them both. But we have a plan, and we're gonna stick to our plan.
Okay, so the team knows who it's gonna be. What did you like from each of those guys that you saw in this first game? You talked about they both played well. You saw good things from them both.
Yeah, I mean, Toddy went in the game. He was explosive. I mean, talking about big runs and some beautiful balls, by the way, and did some really, really good things. Pat came in. He was 7 for 10, I think he was 7 for 10, and at the end, and threw some beautiful balls. So I mean, I think they both, did some really great things, played to their strengths, and I mean, like I said, I mean, we had a fair amount of productivity. Wasn't perfect, but I thought both guys played well, and will continue to play well.
Thanks.
Okay, Coach, I think our last question for you comes from Kyle Frederickson.
Hey, Coach, just one follow-up on Kelly's question there. With Patrick O'Brien coming off of the bench, how did he handle that decision, being that he's a guy with starting experience, with this program?
Well, they're both for starting experience, but Patrick handled it great, and that's a tribute to him. And he came in there with a great mindset and demeanor, and as it should be. That's the way it should be. We have there's a lot of decisions to get made for a lot of reasons, and there's a lot of football left to play, and so we just keep rolling. Every week's a new week, and new team, new offense, new defense to defend, to go against, and we just keep moving, keep grinding.
All right. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Guys, we're going to have Dante Wright up next. Just go ahead and cue your questions for me again. Hey, Dante, this is Mike Brohart from CSU. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How tough was it being at home, probably watching that game on TV? I'm going to assume you and Ty were watching.
I didn't like it. I thought I should be there, but excited to be back this week and excited to come out and play.
When you were watching that game, were like you and Ty inserting yourself into the screen? If I was there, I could be doing this or that. How hard was that?
Absolutely. I think both of us, we thought we could be there right now. We could be making plays, but that's just not how it goes. So it's just we got to come back this week and be ready to play.
Yeah, we're going to take next question for you is from Justin Michael.
Hey, Dante. What is your impression of how the coaching staff has gotten you involved in the offense? I know you had to miss some time in training camp with the contact tracing, but are you excited for the way that you think the coaches are going to use you this year?
Absolutely. I think they're going to use our playmakers in any way they can, get the playmakers the ball. And for me, I'm excited for what they're doing. So, yeah.
Given that Warren Jackson is no longer in the picture, obviously you guys would have loved to have him on the team, great teammate, great player. But were you kind of excited for the opportunity to, show I can be a legitimate number one wide receiver? I don't have to live in this guy's shadow anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that Warren's not with us anymore. I mean, he's gone to greater things, but the ball's got to go somewhere. So we got to step up, and I'm just excited that we can get a little bit more touches this year. So yeah, we're excited.
Okay, we'll take our next questions from Kelly Lyle.
Dante, this is Kelly Lyle with Fort Collins, Colorado. Just when you were watching the game and you saw the two quarterbacks, obviously they have different styles. You've seen these guys in camp. What do you like about what each one brings to the team? If you could just tell me briefly what you like about Todd, what you like about Patrick.
Well, I mean, I just like how Todd, he's not afraid to use his feet, extend plays, and he can throw. I mean, a lot of guys think that he's just a runner, but he's got an arm. And about Pat, I think they're both different. I think Pat can stand there and he can sling it. So they're different, but they're both really good quarterbacks.
Are they both good enough to lead you guys to a successful season? If
Absolutely,
one of them becomes the only guy that plays from here on out, maybe either one of them.
I think both of them are gonna play. Not really sure, but you just gotta get the ball in the playmakers' hands, whether it's them or running backs or us receivers.
Thanks.
We'll take our next question from Kevin Lytle.
Dante, obviously last year was your first border war. Just what was that experience and kind of bigger picture? Just what have you learned about this rivalry since you got here?
Last year didn't really know too much, but just being in the game, you could tell that there is a lot of tension, and I think this year we're coming back even harder. Just got to get the boot back.
Okay, we will take our next question from Kevin Lytle. Where did I just get you, Kevin?
You just got me. Thanks, though.
All right. Hey, how about Eddie Hers now?
That works. Hey, Dante, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Just sticking on the border war topic. Obviously, your first border war was on the road, but you could probably tell pretty intense atmosphere for the fans and everything, sellout crowd. Just how weird do you think it'll be this year kind of compared to that with less fans there?
I think it'd be good for both teams. Less distraction. Just it's more about the game. Less crowd interference. I think it'll be a good fight.
Okay, we have a follow-up question from Justin Michael.
Kind of building off of that, Dante, I know you're really close with your family. Is it going to be hard for you, if they're not in the building for that game?
Kind of, but I know that they're gonna be watching and they're gonna have support. So it's gonna suck that they're not gonna be there, but I know that they're always gonna be supporting me.
Okay, I think that's all we got for you, Dante. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dante.
Thanks, Dante.
Thank you.
Guys, we got Marshaun Cameron next.
Don't worry, Marshaun, the hair looks good. This is Mike Brohard from CSU. Coach talked a little bit about some coverage breaks and man-to-man coverage. Can you talk a little bit about how much more man-to-man you played in this game, and was it an adjustment from years past?
Could you repeat that question?
It seemed like you played more man-to-man in this game than you did last year. Was that an adjustment, and do you think it was a good learning experience that you guys can take from week 1 to week 2?
Yes, sir. It was. I would say that was the most that we won man coverage, but as long as we did our execution right, we would have been in a good situation. We didn't execute how we should have, and we're doing probably something similar to the same game plan, but we're gonna be ready and we're gonna execute better.
And Wyoming's going to come in with a reputation that they're just going to want to run the ball. Does that mean you as a secondary have to be even maybe a little bit more alert for those pass plays when they try to go deep?
Yes, sir, exactly, because they keep trying to run the ball, then get our eyes back and throw the ball. We're cognitive for all that.
Okay, we'll take our first question from Justin Michael.
Hey, Marshaun. One of the things that came up was the lack of execution on 3rd and long, obviously. And you just talked about, if you would have executed, you guys would have been in position. In your opinion, was the lack of execution were guys out of position? Were they thinking too much? Was it a matter of just not having enough reps in camp? What do you think went wrong for you guys on those 3rd and long situations?
I say practice and everything went well. We were executing well in practice. I believe it was just that first game vibe because, this is probably our first time playing a game without fans. I think that probably got to a lot of people. And it was just a learning experience. I'm glad we went through that so we could get better.
After everything you guys went through last season, some tough losses, and everything you guys went through in the off season, football's here, then it goes away, then it's back, then you start the year kind of with a disappointing showing. Do you think that fuels you guys even more going into this rivalry game, especially given, it's been 4 straight years now that Wyoming's been able to take the boot?
We're going to make sure that we take it this year.
Okay, our next question comes from Kelly Lyle.
Yeah, Marshaun, this is Kelly Lyle from the Fort Collins, Colorado. And just when you look at, you talked about the 3rd and longs and all that. You talked about at times you guys did things well. What is it going to take to get that execution? Can you fix that in a week of practice? Is it communication, or are there some fundamental significant things you guys have to go back and adjust and change the way you do them to be effective this week?
I would say it was both fundamental and communication. That's what we've been harping on all week is communication, getting the play call, execute, and everything's looking good. We have real great 2 days. Today was good, and we got Tuesday off. We're going to do what we need to do on that Tuesday, get our bodies right, go over film, and we should be ready to go Wednesday and go to Thursday.
How tough was it watching those 3rd and long conversions on film, seeing guys wide open in several cases?
It was tough. It's something that we got to work on. We can't have nothing like that. That's not how we want to represent ourselves on the back end, and we'll definitely be coming this game to put our names where it needs to be.
Thanks.
And Marshaun, question from Mike Brohard here again. How important is it to balance what you did well in last week's game with what you need to fix as you move forward?
That's a good point. So we did have a lot of missed execution things that happened last game, but that's something that we learned from, and we also had good things that we can go off of to also bring to this game as well as the lessons that we learned from the last game.
All right, perfect. Thank you, sir. You have a great day.
Yes, sir. You too.
Guys, I think we're going to have Barry Wesley up next.
Looking at myself. I don't know who to look at.
Hey, Barry, this is Mike Brohard from CSU.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
When it comes to rivalry games and the border war, is it an emotional week or is it mostly an emotional game?
Ooh, it's emotional, everything. The week, right after the game, I was thinking about, Fresno obviously wasn't a good game for us. But, we got to switch into that next mindset. And for me, right after that game, it was, all right, I know what's coming. And this whole week of preparation, everything is crucial. Practice each day, each rep is important. So I would say it's both the week and the game. Both are completely different. Trying to prepare for it mentally, it's different once you're actually in the game, in that experience. And with COVID, it's going to be completely different because, you got fans screaming and yelling. But with this year, so it's gonna be interesting.
When you look at your traditional run game, I know Toddy had some success and Marcus had a couple big runs. But when you went back and looked at the tape, what are the things you guys are focusing on to get that more traditional run game where you guys want it?
I think it's just limiting mistakes. We had a couple of, crucial mistakes that prevented us from, either it killed our momentum or prevented us from scoring. So we got to limit those, and I thought we did a decent job of communicating up front. Communicating what what Keith saw or sees on the left side, and how that affects the right side of the line and vice versa. So I thought we did a decent job of that last week, and I think we need to continue to do that this week with not only the offensive line but with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. And that's something that we've actually been pushing hard on the last couple of days. Just trying to communicate, limit those mistakes. That way we don't kill the drive, and we end up with points. Hello.
Hey, Barry, this is Justin from DNVR. Can you hear me?
Yes, Justin, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing well.
Keeping things, on the conversation of the offensive line and, trying to come together. Did it make things really difficult for you guys, given how wonky training camp was with the COVID stuff, trying to plug and play 3 Boston College transfers? I mean, it's not like you guys had a ton of reps together as a starting unit.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I remember, when the BC guys first got here, just trying to get to know them and trying to get to know their play style and, who they really are as a person, and just being able to, get reps with them and get in practice and get live, go after it a little bit. You kind of see what they're made of, and, it's that equal amount of energy. I give them a lot, they give me a lot, and I know that I got their back and they got mine. So it's just that equal transfer of, just trust. And, those guys are great. The offensive line actually had a quarantine issue where some guys were out for contact tracing. So we had a lot of guys that were out, and a lot of young guys had to step up, and they did a good job, being thrown in the fire that early. And kind of at first, they're running around with their head cut off, but eventually they figured it out, and I think that's good for them. And then once older guys got back, it's kind of like smooth sailing. It was a little rough at first, just because I think it was 14 days I was out. Just not being able to, fully participate in practice. So you kind of got to knock off the rust, and you kind of got to get back into, that smooth transition. I like to think of it as like a baseball swing. Your swing kind of gets, you get more comfortable with it as the season goes on, and to have a pause like that, kind of built some rust.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, you were on the team the last time that Wyoming won in Fort Collins. They obviously, danced on the field, chanted, "It sucks to be a CSU Ram." They played that on the big screen throughout practice last week. Does that moment stick out in your head still? Are you guys doing anything as far as motivational tactics this week?
I think, the game itself is motivation. I was actually just telling, Cam Reddy, what they did my freshman year, my redshirt season, when we had the boot and they ran across the field and took it from us. Trying to describe that feeling is, it's hard to reflect on that and try to get someone else to understand that. But I think, Cam and all those guys know the importance of this week and how important it is to the guys that have been here.
Okay, we'll go next to Eddie Hers.
Hey, Barry, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Eddie. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm just curious because Dante was talking about it a little. Obviously, I know you guys would like fans in the stadium for the border war, but he said maybe there could be some advantages, like easier to communicate as a team. Do you see it that way, or are you kind of bummed out there's going to be no fans there?
It's definitely a different experience for sure. But either way, I'm just, getting ready for the game itself. The fans do have some impact in terms of making noise and, just kind of creating more of an atmosphere. But we just got to bring our own juice.
For sure. And just going back to what you were saying earlier, a lot of new faces in the offensive line, obviously with COVID and everything, tough to build chemistry. But do you feel like with all the new faces in the mix, it's at least good that a lot of these guys, especially the Boston College guys, they come over with experience. They're not just like new freshmen being thrown into the mix.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. I think a lot of them, bring what Coach Addazio brings from BC is that that tradition of the offensive line. So I think they know how much they have to hold up for their bargain. They have a long tradition that they got to protect for Coach Addazio, and we got to do the same. So, and they're smart guys. They figure it out. They're not dummies. They know how important this game is. They know how important it means to the CSU community in Fort Collins. So they're going to be ready for a fight.
For sure.
We're going to go next to Kevin Lytle.
Hey, Barry. Obviously, it's election weekend. Election day tomorrow is now an off day. First, did you like that move from the NCAA to make it a day so that everyone could go vote and stuff? And then just within the team, do you guys talk about much of that, election type stuff, or is it mostly football within the locker room?
For me personally, it's actually my first time voting in a presidential election, so I'm really excited. And I think the move that the NCAA did is really important, and it just shows, that they understand how important it is for student athletes, and how important it is to have that time to vote and, go through it and process it. And, I wasn't able to vote the last presidential election. So, I was actually trying to think about how the young guys are doing with that, and I actually haven't had a conversation with any of those guys and how they're doing. But for me personally, I'm really excited. And the coaching job, Coach Addazio does a really good job of emphasizing go vote. Like that's what tomorrow is. Go take your time, go vote, and then obviously stay on track for the game. But this is important. I remember he said something about that this presidential, it's a lot more important than football. Something that it's going to change. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen for the next 4 or 5 years. For our country. So I'm really excited, and I think he does a good job of emphasizing, go vote.
Hey, Barry, on top, are you going to go home to vote tomorrow, or have you already cast your ballot?
I already casted my ballot.
We will take our next question from Kelly Lyle.
Hey, Barry, with all the various circumstances of this year, the on again, off again status of the season, the COVID testing, contact tracing, guys being in and out, how ready did you feel for that first game? And was that a bit of an issue for this team, given that it's a new coaching staff, new schemes, a lot of new faces? Or were you guys ready to play? Or could you have used a couple more weeks to get ready like you normally would have?
The ball was going to kick off at 7 o'clock either way, if we were ready or if we weren't. I think a lot of the guys understand how important it is week one, especially with the new coaching staff. And unfortunately, it didn't work the way that we wanted it to, but I thought we had a good week of practice. We had a good week of preparation. It's just, sometimes, you get punched in the face. Yeah.
And then given this week being a short week, again, because could Pratt do anything tomorrow and all that, how hard is it going to be game ready come Thursday night? Or is that going to be an issue?
I don't think it's going to be an issue. We have guys that each position group has their own leader, and there's multiple leaders within the position group. And I know those guys are getting the young guys, getting their unit, watching film and going over schemes and making sure everyone knows what they're doing, just because you can be thrown into the game at any point. I know for the defensive line, I know that they're going to be ready. Offensive line are going to be ready. We go to battle every day, and I'm excited to see those guys ball out, and I was excited for them to ball out last week. So I think everyone's going to be ready, especially knowing what this week means to us.
Final thing I wanted to ask you, you guys played both quarterbacks in this game, obviously. Some people were a little surprised with how that worked out. What did you see from each of those quarterbacks that you like? Because it sounds like probably both of them are going to play some moving throughout this season, no matter who starts what game.
I don't control who plays quarterback. I just do my job. I block for whoever's back there. If it's Toddy, Pat, my mom, my dog, whoever it is, I'm blocking for them. So I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to make sure that they're able to do theirs.
I guess what did you like, though, that you saw from each of them? What are the strengths of each of those guys, if you could, just for a second?
Obviously Toddy's more of a quicker guy. He can run the ball a little bit quicker. Pat's got an arm, and both of them have their own play style. And like I said earlier, I'm just going to do my job. That way they're able to do theirs.
How good a quarterback is your dog?
I haven't seen them in a while, but they're my mom wouldn't let me have big dogs when I was growing up, so I have 3 Chihuahua mixes back at home. So, they're pretty small.
All right. Last serious question for you. You had Scott Brooks last year as your starting center. You got Cam this year. With everybody that's been in and out on the offensive line, how well do you feel like your communication chain is working, and is it still building?
Oh, it's obviously still building, and that's something that's going to keep building and keep shifting as the season goes on. I think both Scott and Cam are very smart guys, very intelligent, know the game very well. I think the only thing that I struggled with was just the different calls and trying to, have them make sense for me personally. But essentially, it's the same things, the same schemes, the same calls. It's just a little bit different.
All right. Thanks, Barry. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, we're going to have Toby and McBride up next. So let me know if you got questions.
How's it going?
Good. Hey, Toby, this is Mike Broward. How you doing today?
Good.
Number 0, first time the NCAA has allowed players to wear it. Why you?
I mean, why not is kind of what I was thinking about it. might as well do something new. Coming back with new coaching staff. Just I feel like this is a new year for me. Being able to play with no injuries. I'm with being managed better. Kind of need to have a breakout season. So only a new number is going to help me do that. So.
The emotions of border war, is it all week or is it mostly game day?
All week, rivalry week. As soon as we got on that plane, everyone shifted to Wyoming. How are we going to be Wyoming? What kind of play style? Everyone's kind of, figuring out who they're going to be lining up against, what kind of schemes they have. So, you can't just step into a rivalry game and turn it on game day. It's got to be all week. And, even it's been all season. We have a clock in our weight room counting down the day to kick off with versus Wyoming. So this isn't even a 1 week thing. It's been all off season.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Justin Michael.
Hey, Toby, Justin Michael of DNVR here. How important is your role going up against a dominant rushing offense like Wyoming?
Yeah, being a defensive lineman, we got to set the pace for the whole game. And that's just across the board. If we don't stop the run, you can't expect to win that game, especially when it's cold. We're going to try to run the rock, and we know that. That's what they've shown in the past. That's what we're expecting. So being a defensive lineman, you got to be able to stop it at the front seven.
You're one of the more experienced players on the roster. What is it like when the other team, takes that bronze boot and celebrates in front of you? I always go back to 2 years ago when the Wyoming players danced on the field and chanted, "It sucks to be a CSU Ram."
Yeah, that's not the first time they've done it. I've seen it, and, I've even called out the whole team to look over there, see it, take that in, take this feeling in of, defeat and how bad that makes you feel, and watching these guys celebrate and being able to go out there and have that feel you all off season. So a lot of these guys have experienced that already and have that mentality of not letting that happen again.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask you here, how special was it to you that Trey decided to come back and you guys, you got at least one more season together, if not, potentially two with the eligibility stuff?
Yeah, it's great that he decided to come back. I supported his decision either way, and I was there kind of helping guide him on what was best for him. So when he decided ultimately to stay, obviously it made me happy, but at the same time I told him I'm not going to give him, a full answer on if he should stay or go. So he made that decision completely on his own. So having him do that just makes it even that much better that I had no real influence on telling him what to do, and he decided to come back to Colorado State at his own will.
Okay, we'll take our next questions from Kelly Lyle.
Toby, last year, I think they told us at best you were able to play maybe a dozen snaps a game because of the pain and different things. Where are you at now health-wise? Are you still really limited, or are you a guy that could go 40, 50 plays a game if need be?
Yeah, that's kind of taken off me now. So the last game, I think I took around 50 snaps. So being managed better throughout the week has been all the difference to be able to play game day. And that's what Coach Addazio has been saying is we don't need you to be a practice squad All-American. So we need you to get to game day, and then that's where you need to take the reps. So, and that's been really helpful to take, it was 12 to 20 reps last year, and now it is up to 50. And it feels great to be able to play a full game, be there with my guys, lead them for the full game, not just here and there, half a drive, and then you're out of the game. So having that change has, made all the difference and makes it a lot more fun to play football.
Do you feel full speed in those 50 plays? Is there anything limiting you? Are you at 85%? Or are you 100%?
I'm 100%.
All right. And then second thing I wanted to ask you a little bit more about just the border war. Just what would it mean to if you guys lose this, that's going to be 5 years in a row that they keep that thing. How important is it to get that boot back to you as a guy who's been here and seen them celebrating with it so many times in the past?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it means everything. That's part of the reason why I came back and I didn't medically retire is I've never won a rivalry game here. So I want to get that feeling. I want to get a win here. And, when Coach Addazio was recruiting me, I asked him specifically, how much do you care about rivals? And he said, what do you mean that's the whole part of football? Like that's what makes football fun. So when I heard that, I decided to come back, and I want to get this win. It means everything. That's part of why I came back. So if I'm not getting it, I'll be super upset.
Okay, we're going to go next to Eddie Hers.
Hey, Toby. You talked a little about new you, new year, new number and everything.
Yeah.
I saw early in that week 1 game, I think the first quarter, the second quarter, there was a play you may have landed awkwardly on your ankle, if you remember that. Kind of came up limping. Just when something like that happens, does your mind kind of go to the worst places saying, here we go again? Or are you just kind of over that, not worried about getting injured again?
I did go back to the here we go again because it just feels like I haven't played a football game in my career where I haven't been injured in college football. So when that happened, I was kind of upset about it, but then I kind of worked out with it on the sideline, taped it up, and I was like, they told me I should probably sit out, but I asked the doctor if I could play on it. Will make it worse? He said no, it's just pain tolerance. So I wrapped it up and went because I'm at the point where I've been through so much, so I got to find a way to play when I can. And even practice, I have it taped up. It feels fine now. We're just getting a little bit of extra support. And because I don't even want to sit out of practice, I got to be out there with the D-line. I've got to be able to lead them. So as of right now, it's not bothering me anymore. And I've been in the training room for about 4 hours every day, making sure it doesn't bother me. So.
For sure. That's good to hear. Just also with everything you've been through, do you kind of feel like you have nothing to lose out there? Like you just kind of want to go out and give it your all because you've already been through so much?
Yeah, that's kind of how you got to look at it where, if you go out there scared that you're going to get injured again, you're probably going to get injured again. So you just got to go full speed and, respect the work that you've put in to get back on the field and, not cheat yourself out of any reps because you never know when your last rep's going to be. So when I step on the field, it's full speed at all times.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Toby, last question is going to come from me. So I know when you give up 38 points as a defense, there's things you want to fix, but the positive was you only give up 84 yards rushing. How important is it to balance what you did well when you're trying to fix what you're trying to fix?
Yeah, so after last week, we obviously addressed some things that we needed to fix. But looking ahead to Wyoming, we see that they're a running team, and we, like you said, we only held them to 85 yards rushing. So that's kind of what the D-line is taking into our hands, and we got challenged by the head coach day 1 of Wyoming install that our D-line's got to come ready, and, we are. So we're excited that they're a running team. We're kind of licking our chops. We're ready for it, and, we're ready to go out there.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Toby. You have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, Toby.
Thanks, you too.